All right, welcome back. Once again, this is Mr. Spiggs. We are in Section 5.3, second video of Section 5.3 going on right here. We're going to start by doing a reverse of what we did last time. In the last video, we talked about how to convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number. What you see in front of you are mixed numbers, so we're going to write them as improper fractions. So here we go. Here's how it works. First thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply the numerator times the denominator. That was a fun equal sign. Let's get rid of that one real quick. That was pathetic. All right, better equal sign. Whatever. So 5 times 7 is 35. This means that 5 is the same thing as 35 divided by 7. That's how it works. That's the 5 part. Now, the 3/7 part, that's just the partial. And if we add the 35/7 plus the 3/7, and you should know, adding fractions, if you have common denominators, you just add across the top. 35 plus 3 is 38, and the denominator will not change. 38 divided by 7 is the answer. That's how I take care of that process. Let's do another one here. 8 and 5, 6. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. This means that 48 divided by 6, that's the 8 part. Well, we need 8 and 5/6. Oh, fine. If we add the 5/6 to the 48/6, we should end up with 53/6. That's a final. Moving on. Now we're going to do adding and subtracting fractions. Please, please, please don't do this. This is what I see constantly. 1 plus 2 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. I will take off so many points for that answer. Don't do that. There's no skill and you're not thinking in this case if you do that. Here, in order to do this, we must have common denominators. So we got to look at 4 and 3 and find a common number between them. Well, in between 4 and 3, a common denominator is 12. So we're going to turn them both into 12. Now here's a question. That's a plus. What do you need to add or multiply 4 by to get 12? Well, the answer is 3. Therefore, I need to multiply the top and bottom of the first fraction times 3. Well, 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. That's how I get 3 12s. It's the same thing as a fourth. I'll do the same thing here. I need to turn 2/3 into something over 12. Well, to get to 3 to be a 12, I multiply times 4. And to make it legal, I must do the same thing on top. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. So 2/3 is 8/12. And when we add with a common denominator, we just add across the top. 8 plus 3 is 11. And the denominator does not change. 11/12. Final answer in this case. Subtracting, same process. We must have common denominators. So look, 9 and 54. Well, 54 is a multiple of 9, actually. So I can turn this guy over here, the 5/9, into something over 54 and do my job right away. Well, how do I get from 9 to 54? I multiply times 6. So to make it legal, I do so on top and bottom. 5 times 6 is 30. This means 30 over 54 is the same thing as 5/9. And when we, this is subtract then from 7 54s, the denominator does not change. It remains 54, and we perform the simple operation of subtraction. 30 minus 7 is 23. We check to make sure that is in lowest terms. 23 is prime. It is reduced. So we are done. Last one. The last one's tricky down here. 1/12 plus 1/48 plus minus 1/72. It's tough because you cannot turn 48 into 72. We'd like to make the common denominator 72 because 12 times 6 is 72. But 48 does not go into 72. You will have to go further. Our common denominator in this case is actually 144. It's a bigger one to make that work. And that's the hardest part, is figuring out what your common denominator is going to need to be. In this case, 144 works for us. So I get everything divided by 144. Now, how do I turn 1/12 into 144ths? Well, to get 12 to be 144, we multiply times 12. I must do so on top and bottom. 1 times 12 is 12. That makes the first fraction 12 over 144. Next one, how do I get 48 to be 144? Actually, it requires 3. So if 48 times 3 is 144, I will multiply times 3 on top as well. 1 times 3 is 3. And on the last one, to get 72 to be 144, you have to multiply by 2. 72 times 2 is 144. I'll do so on top as well. 1 times 2 is 2. Notice now they are all, that's a 2 by the way, they are all have the same denominator, it is 144, and we can just add and subtract, go left to right. 12 plus 3 is 15, minus 2 is 13. We have 13 over 144, and since 13 is prime, it cannot be reduced. Finally, we will multiply and divide fractions. Multiplying and dividing fractions is actually very easy because it does not require a common denominator. You just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and reduce. Multiplying here, negative 3 times negative 16 is a negative times a negative, which is a positive. It's positive 48. 8 times 15 is positive 60. And if we divide by 6 on top and bottom to reduce, 12 will be the easiest. This reduces to 4/5. It is possible to do cross cancellation as well. I'm not going to show that here, but if you're interested in cross cancellation, let me know. I can show you that trick. 4/5 is the answer there. We're dividing by fractions here, so I will flip the second one. It's always the reciprocal of the second one and multiply. So that's how we divide by fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. Once again, cross cancellation can happen. I won't feature it here though. 4 times 21 is 84. 15 times 10 is 150. And now I need to break this down. In breaking this down, I am going to divide by 6 in top and bottom. I don't know if that's as small as it goes, but that's where I'm going to start. 6 in top and bottom. Well, 84 divided by 6 and 150 divided by 6 is what we're going to have at this point in time. Well, 84 divided by 6 is going to be 16. And 150 divided by 6 is 25. 16/25 is in lowest terms. That's reduced. Last one. We're going to start going left to right. Got to go left to right. We're going to multiply negative 2/3 times 5/8. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. 3 times 8 is 24. I can reduce that at this point in time if I want to, or I can just straight divide by the fraction. I'm going to reduce it to make my life a little easier. By dividing by 2 on top and bottom, that becomes negative 5/12. And I still need to take that and divide it by negative 7/16. Well, in order to do this at this point in time, in order to take our negative 5/12 and divide by negative 7/16, I need to flip the second one, multiply by the reciprocal. So that's negative 5/12 times 16 over negative 7. Multiplying on top, you'll get negative 80, and multiplying on bottom, you will get negative 84. Negative over a negative is a positive, and in reducing, we can divide by 8 on top and bottom, or 8 won't work on top and bottom. I'll start with 4 on top and bottom to get 20 over 21. There's your final.